Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winthrop Town Council meeting, February 3rd, 2026. It is about 6:40 right now. We are in the Hardy hearing room. I will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Here.
Council Castaneri.
Here.
Council Millar.
Here.
Council Romano.
Here.
Council Dimes. Present. Council Reardon.
Here.
Vice President Swope. President Lettieri.
Yes. Seeing there's a quorum, all please rise for the pledge. Councilor Reardon.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from the January 20th, 2026 meeting have been circulated. Is there a motion to approve?
Approve.
A motion by Vice President Swope, second by Councilor Dimes. Any discussion on the motion?
I have a discussion.
Yeah.
So when it came to the minutes this time, I noticed for Councilor Millard, how he abstained for the Wendy Millard, the Finance Review Committee. It's actually listed twice. It has it as unanimous. Then underneath it redoes the vote with it abstained. Is it? It's kind of confusing that way. Is it supposed to be? Because that's
No, we'll make it, we'll make that change.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to see it. I read it.
No problem. So we'll make the change to the abstaining corrected.
And we'll vote on approval as amended.
As amended, yep. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. General information and recommendations. We do not have public hearings. We do not have public comment. I think we do have. Public comment, floor is open. Right, seeing none.
Nice try, Jen.
Lee.
Hi, Lee Foley, Precinct 6. I'm just going to read a letter from Lisa Venezia from Precinct 2. Members of the Town Council, sorry, Precinct 1. Members of the Town Council, I am asking that you deny the motion submitted by Councilor Swope to engage in unnecessary costly lawsuits to fight a losing battle. It's time we comply with 3A and move forward with the Planning Board's original plan to correctly rezone Seal Harbor and Governor's Park. It's not fair to ask residents to incur costly legal fees to fight a losing battle, in addition to the increase we've already incurred for the firehouse and schools, not to mention the continued loss of grant money. If you decide to move forward with this lawsuit, let the Winthrop Says No to 3A committee pay for it. We've already been paying for it enough with the chaos and community division that they themselves have created. And my own comments on this is, I mean, you probably know my opinion. I have a hard no to engaging in any lawsuit given our precarious financial state and many other reasons. I also believe that the Vice President should recuse herself from any voting or motion on 3A. Firstly, if 3A is going to negatively impact Seal Harbor as she and her daughter claim, then this is an obvious conflict of interest. And the second conflict of interest is even more perfidious, using her position to promote her own daughter's political and other ambitions, which include embroiling the town in a costly and extremely weak lawsuit. And I would also like to know if the Vice President contacted the State Ethics Board to find out if her actions were legal. Finally, one of the arguments against 3A has been that the state could come in and start building. So far, 165 communities have complied, and the state has not forced anyone to develop anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcy.
Hi, I don't know if I can see over there. Marcia Hamilton, Precinct 2. I come before you once again to remind you of the promise made not just to the Tileston, Girdlestone, and Pico Beach neighborhoods, but to all the impacted coastal areas within this town. 2 years ago, you vowed to resolve the drainage issues, and progress has been made. However, the town will require $4.5 million to complete those two projects. I have paid close attention to our town meetings, a planning board zoning 3A plan with 0 units on our town, and a detailed climate commission phase report. Recently, I heard Karen Chavez say that in 2027, our municipal GIC insurances will skyrocket. I paid attention when Kim Dimes told us about the CZM report and what's expected of coastal communities within the next 5 to 10 years. I paid attention when our council president inferred that there might be a drainage tax on top of all other taxes moving forward in the future. I paid attention when our tree warden lost out on a cooling grant and now has formed a GoFundMe account for trees. Think of that. This is who we are now. I want answers from this council in real-time items to be put on the agenda moving forward. I want to know who's going to move forward with the bus stop sheltering for our MBTA bus stops that were talked about and planned. I want to know who's going to keep up on our capital plan initiatives. I want to know how we're going to avoid a strike by teachers as their contracts haven't been approved and our ESPs don't even make a living wage. I want to know why the Euro Beach berm and grass placements haven't occurred as promised, and more specifically, I want to know if we are going to have to downsize the firehouse and forego making it a state-of-the-art firehouse due to loss of grant money by the state. These are important projects. These are important issues, and here we are, 2026. We have formed committees. We get their expertise, advice, and information, and we disregard their work. It's unacceptable. I want important issues put on the agenda in real time. I want people to know just how much money you're going to invest in a fight with the state and where that money is going to come from in our budgets. And that information be put on the manager's report monthly. I want you all to remember that we are surrounded by state entities that mandate things from us. DCR, DEP, Massport, MWRA all surround us. And finally, I want a presentation about our shelter-in-place policy. We've had three fires, 2 near misses from Massport Plains, and 1 closure of our Beachmont route. I think it's time that this town presents a plan and inform its residents. Keep in mind, if you lose this argument, the state will come in and force Winthrop to comply in areas that you might not want to be zoned as 3A. Your voice and your votes are for more than just a group of people. You represent all the people of Winthrop. Thank you.
Diane,
So I'm not going to read from a piece of paper.
Just
They've already,
state your name and precinct,
sorry.
Diane, and
Diane Sands, Precinct 5. They've already covered everything. They remain the same from the beginning. Lee and Marcy, they're known. But we understand it. We don't need any more letters. I am a yes, obviously. But what I want to say is I want to address the 2 new councilors, Kim and Kurt, and how they might vote tonight. Both of them campaigned on pro-exemption, anti-3A. Both of them said that's what they were for. They got elected on that. And now I hear they might betray the town and vote differently. And that's a real betrayal when people thought you were supporting what they believed in. You have to reconsider what you're doing. Please honor your word. Do what you said you would do and vote to be part of the exemption. I heard that you didn't have enough information, either one of you. This exemption has been almost 2 years around. You certainly had the time to look it up. You were going to run for office. You should be prepared with full knowledge of what's going on. And this is the biggest thing in our town right now. So if you haven't read the exemption, I encourage you to do so. I assume you have by this time because I know you were sent in. But I don't know what kind of information you require more than this. Can you write it out, what you would like to know? I think it's just a delaying tactic, as I thought Kim raising her hand and claiming executive privilege at the last meeting was a delaying tactic as well. I believe someone has gotten to them to change them so much. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone, but someone has obviously changed their mind. And I don't know how this happens when you campaign. And the election was in November, the first week of November. So you campaigned all on that, got elected in November, sworn in January, and in 2 meetings, you've changed. How does that happen? That's basically all I have to say at this point. Thank you for listening.
yes,
I've been here before
just name
stating,
and precinct.
oh, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
Bill Demo, Precinct 5. I've been here before at previous meetings making my thoughts known on the 3A issue. I do understand people's depth of feeling about preserving Winthrop as is, but I don't think we will suffer any of the serious consequences that people have speculated about. I think the adoption of the requirements of 3A will be little more than a non-event. Having said that, if those who feel differently want to negotiate or legislate an exemption for the town, I say go for it. I think it's, I wouldn't take those odds, but I guess it's your time as long as it's not our money. But as far as the cost of suing the state or defending against a lawsuit brought by the AG goes, save the town and its residents the money. We're taxed enough without throwing good money after bad. I get that there is a sense of sort of victimhood about being forced to comply with the state, but let's not add injury to insult. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Dave Youngs, Precinct 5. Good evening. I'd like to start off by thanking the town council and staff for their time and consideration tonight. It's a hard, thankless job, and I deeply appreciate your commitment to our town and community. So let's get to it. Look, I don't think anyone in this room likes 3A. Whether you're for it, against it, it's bad law. But it is the law, and we have to follow it. And I want to start off by talking about Milton. We've discussed how they went to court. We've talked about the outcomes, the could-haves, the would-haves, they should have done this, they should have tried that. What we haven't discussed is what it actually takes to bring a case like this to the state Supreme Court. Let me tell you a little bit about the two lawyers, Kevin Martin and Jamie Santos, who represented Milton. They both come from Goodwin, a globally renowned firm with over 1,600 attorneys and thousands of other supporting capabilities. Kevin, partner at Goodwin, Bachelor's of Science from Georgetown, JD from Columbia, law clerk under Justice Scalia of the Supreme Court. I think you all know where I'm getting with this. Jamie also comes from, has a Juris Doctorate from Harvard, law clerk for the Ninth Court, law clerk for the U.S. District Court, pro bono civil rights recognized attorney. Wonderful. This is quite literally the legal equivalent of SEAL Team 6. These are attorneys who have devoted their careers to litigation at the highest level of court. One does not get to this level by losing or being anything less than stellar at their understanding of the law. Not only are they individually talented, but they have a small army of associates and paralegals putting in countless hours of legal research to find every possible loophole and tactic to win for Milton. They aren't an anomaly, this is a standard. This is what every law firm does that operates at this level. Why? Because the legal bar for the level is profoundly high, and there's zero room for error. With all that time and experience, they lost. They lost. Are we to think that we know something that Goodwin doesn't? Do we have some sort of upper hand, some sort of ace in the hole, something that they didn't think about? If that were the case, there'd be more towns and other people that would go with us against this, but they're not here. If this is such an appropriate and well thought out legal strategy, then there'd be far more towns supporting this. And of course, you and some of the others in this room think this because we've been profoundly misled.
The geography of this town is totally different.
At this point,
See you later. See you later. Everybody have a good time.
At this point, I think it's safe to say we all know Diana Vines. Diana Vines. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing her name. For starters, her online behavior is deeply problematic. While she may have a right to post vitriolic comments, it's not behavior that exudes professionalism or confidence. It's behavior reserved for egoists who have not learned humility, who would rather take others down in a sinking ship than admit they're plotted a course poorly. Go search her up.
That's it.
Go and look in Google. Go and look and see what experience she has.
I'm
Counsel.
control here, please.
I'd like to finish.
You got a hammer. You can't finish, you can have another 15 seconds.
Great. Look, just because you've got a law degree, that doesn't mean you are qualified to represent this town. And look, we all deserve better than someone that is going to behave that way, who can't even submit a legal document without typos. Also, is it true, Councilman Swope, that she's your daughter? We deserve better.
That's it. Thank you, sir.
How long have you lived in
Yes, and then.
Long enough.
Not long enough. Nobody leaves.
Hi,
Good evening, thank you, nice to meet you. Clara Arroyave, Precinct 3.
Excuse me, just name and precinct again, I didn't hear you.
Clara Arroyave, Precinct 3. I
Precinct
want to
three.
build up on David, nice to meet you, David, as well. It's a state fact, or it's a fact that the board, or planning board created a plan, a very well executed plan that had zero, in effect, zero construction, just complying and rezoning. And they also suggested at that point that one efficient solution would be complying and at the same time that we can continue with this fight, or with this fight, because we all know that the law is not perfect. That said, we know the resources that the town of Milton used, more than $275,000 that this town clearly doesn't have as the best quality of lawyers. While when we compare, what do we have? We have one person that has sued about this town, the town council, the town lawyer, and has lost and appealed and sued again and again. And that's where the town is putting their money on, in someone that continuously loses every appeal, every lawsuit that he does, because no practice. There is no full-time practice of legal here. It's only like a part-time practice lawyer. So I encourage everybody to seek other solutions that are not a completely no, or are a completely waste of resources, because it's proven that following these will get us anything over. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd.
Todd Sago, Precinct 2. First, I just want to comment that I invite anybody that's got criticisms of anybody else in here or in the community, step up and stop shouting from the cheap seats. You're making fools of yourselves. As far as 3A, I think we have a reasonable solution that I would imagine everybody in this room would at least consider. We have the pilot program coming up for negotiation. The airport has built runways on our land. Wouldn't it be a good stick in the, to tell them we want our land back so we can zone it for 3A and let Massport and the governor's office fight it out?
There you go.
There is no way that we don't win on that front. It's our land, we still own it, they pay us to rent it. And we can certainly take them to task on it, and we should.
Thank you. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple words. First of all, Diana Viens,
Just name and
pronounced
precinct first.
as Viens, is my daughter.
Excuse me, name and precinct, Carl, first.
Carl Eckstein, Precinct 4. And Suzanne Swope is my wife. So I've listened to these insults and I find it disgusting. But the problem here is not that. The problem isn't 3A. The problem is the Executive Office of Housing and Living Communities, which now has regulatory authority. That is the ability to make law. So what is written now in as 3A as a law can be overridden at any moment by the EOHLC. And we are subject to a whole different law environment than what we are sitting around discussing here. Now I find, I'm not happy about the fact that my precinct is under the authority of some plan for 3A, but it's meaningless because they can change those rules at any time and put any district in this town under its authority. And I really don't expect much construction to take forward in the near future because people are not constructing things due to the cost of construction and the nature of development these days, as has happened out at Suffolk Downs. They stopped constructing because the economics were wrong for developers. But our future is at risk. The whole town is at risk because of this EOHLC. And I'm not sure how we address that, but that is the issue. And we're focused really on the wrong issue all around. So I would suggest that the council start looking at solutions for how we address this unknown future rather than just 3A. Thank you.
Thank you.
Celeste Rivera, you in Precinct 1. I'm just gonna reiterate what I've been saying all along. There's been two very specific paths that we can take to avoid any perceived negative impacts from 3A. First is to submit the plan that was developed by the consultants and our planning board, which equates to 0 additional housing. Just because you zone for something, to your point, sir, doesn't mean it gets built for a number of reasons. At the same time, I will redirect folks to the fact that despite all this public battle about 3A, there's been about 90 to 100 units over the span of 4 or 5 projects that are pretty close to being approved in town with very little chatter about them. So there's that. I do find it a little bit humorous that the conversation happened in executive committee tonight, because this has been playing out in the public forum for the last 2+ years, and we have yet to hear anything really tangible outside of submitting the plan, or we would have had the opportunity 2+ years ago to partner with 177 communities to launch a meaningful repeal initiative that would have put this in front of the state. And we failed to do so. We failed to get any real meaningful direction in that. I know somebody who's very familiar with repeal. My brother, who launched the statewide repeal initiative, offered his services to the opposition group. It was declined. That's fine. But those are the two real meaningful paths. At this point, we're looking at the space and time between November and today seems short, but it's a very vast distance. We are finding that we are one of 7 communities that are still holding on, and we're now being sued. We have no resources to meet the needs of the town. It was made abundantly clear in the last town council meeting that if we want to accomplish anything in town, including hold-up promises made decades ago to stave off infrastructure, climate, flooding concerns, we're gonna have to raise that money ourselves. We don't have the money for the lawsuit from the state. We don't have the money to sue the state. We don't have the money to make anything happen. That's all new revelations, I think, to many of you sitting up there. I prevail upon you to call on your political courage. You have now been selected to serve everyone in this town, not just the votes that brought you there. So I'm imploring you and encouraging you to do the right thing for the town. We cannot sink more deeply into debt. I'm not willing to risk my family's generational wealth or anybody else's generational wealth. I ask you to do the right thing, to put this behind us, to submit the plan, which is exemption. That is exemption. That is EOHLC's definition of exemption. Thank you.
Hi, Deanna Bell, Precinct 2. I just want to say thank you so much for all of your hard and diligent work, but I also want to remind you that you all got voted in with the majority of running on 3A and being anti-3A, and that you guys would do everything in your power to exempt us from it. Whatever that route is, we, the people, had faith in you that you would do it, and that's why you were elected to your seats. So I hope you all carry that out. When it comes to this exemption thing, one of two things are gonna happen. Either a new government's gonna be put in place and things legally will be able to repeal it, and or we as a town stand up and fight back. I don't ever wanna see Winthrop to get into a place where New York City is right now. Does anyone know about the COPA Act? Okay, so what is to say that if the COPA Act works in Manhattan, that it's not implemented in Massachusetts? Just like the Freedom to Move Act. Some people didn't say that that was a thing. That's right now in Massachusetts legislature, right now being signed off and voted on. So you tax on every mile, another tax. Where do we stop and say, we the people don't want this stuff, we want to say, and where do we stand up for ourselves and vote people in who will stand up and be our voice? So I'm just asking that you all carry out the job that we asked you to do and voted you in to do for. Because when is enough enough? Where do we draw the line? Winthrop is incredibly unique, and we need to keep it that way. I understand that we're part of 7 other towns and a lot of folks don't like it, but we really are very, very unique. And a lot of the variables and facts back it up. It's just not talking points. So I do implore you and I ask you to carry out what you were voted in to do for. Thank you.
Yes.
Lois Baxter, Precinct 2. I'm here to say that I hope that you do join the exemption case, that I am against 3A. I have always been against 3A. And to that gentleman that talked about Milton losing their case, Milton isn't a Winthrop. Winthrop is a small town. We had a major snowstorm, the floodgates this past Monday had to be shut, right, I think? And all of us, my family that leave Winthrop to go to work from McGee's Corner to McClellan Highway, which is what, 2 miles at the most, took us 45 minutes in traffic. You want to put more development in this town? It can't handle it. You've got the funeral home now, what's gonna have, what, 42 more units? There's 42 more cars. You've got the place down on Shirley Street that's gonna have condos. We've got enough development in this town. If it went to court and they came into Winthrop, these lawyers and judges, they'd 100% agree that we should be exempt because there is no place to build. And it's gonna get worse and worse, you say, with flooding and stuff, when they have to close Short Beach because of flooding. And there is no money. I see it with grants. There's no money coming into the state for these projects. The only thing that maybe you might get is, I'm not saying you have to, but it's these people on Bank Street, there's that program, if you want to sell your house and they buy it and they move you. I wouldn't want to do that, but there are those type of programs if they're afraid of flooding. But you're flooding all over the town. You're flooding across the street from Atlantis Marina. It never used to flood on that street because you built there and filled in land. So I ask you that you please stay and vote for the exemption.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Killen, Precinct 2. Thought experiment. Let's just say we sign on to an exemption. Let's say we go to the SJC, we go all the way to the SJC with this. The legal precedent is there. The outcome is certain. The SJC determined that the AG can compel compliance. That can be done on our terms, now, sooner, or it can be done on the AG's terms, which will almost assuredly be not having, less density in mind. Let's put it that way. We saw RKG's presentation. I think we know where the state's going to draw the zones, if it comes down to it. I had a lot I wanted to say, and so many people said it so much better than I could have. What I want to say to the new people and to the people who have said repeatedly tonight that they were elected because of 3A. Let's put you in my head for the past couple months and think, maybe Kim and Joe and Kurt were elected because they were better candidates, more well-rounded. They had something that we didn't, right? That was giving people the confidence to vote for them. To whittle this down to, as much as I would have loved to do that, to whittle it down to one single issue, it's not one single issue. Don't let anybody tell you that you owe loyalty to an issue, right? Something that is completely ethereal, right? Just this idea that something might happen down the road and we don't know, right? You have a loyalty to do what's right for the people of Winthrop. And I came in here nervous, but I don't know. I have somewhat of a better feeling that you guys are going to do what's right over the next few months. And I really hope you do. I'm fresh off of surgery. I'm in a horrific amount of pain, but I came down here in person to tell you guys that. And I really hope you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jack Dodd, Precinct 6. I gave a handout to everybody on the council, to the manager, and to put in the minutes, and I hope everybody realizes what I'm talking about. These words are an alarm from Aaron. It was an alarm, and that's why a lot of people are showing up here on the years for this. It was described to me, I was at a climate commission, it was not a very good meeting. It was the last meeting that I was there. And they were talking about, the problem in the town and all these vote no people are causing big problems in the town. Well, that was decided on November the 4th. On November the 4th, It was an overwhelming victory for the people that don't want the state to come in here and build 882 units. This is really an alarm, and that's why, in that meeting, it was described to me by a young man that the people that were talking, and I was perplexed about how to understand this climate meeting, and I was very perplexed. He said, Jack, these are very bitter people at this point. And the bitter people are sitting right here. As far as this gentleman is concerned, and the gentleman behind over here, Winthrop hasn't spent a dime, not one dime, nothing with this case, with this exemption case, zero. And so when everybody's saying we don't want to spend a lot of money, no money has been spent. So I want you to understand that. Pro bono, two very, very intelligent lawyers, and I think they're going to win, and I hope they win. And I hope all these dissenters and bitter people don't show up again with all these the same old rhetoric as Erin described in her comments 2 weeks ago today. Some of the things she said, she was concerned about the safety for all residents of the town. These are her words. This is verbatim, by the way. I asked for it. I got it. They do not feel safe, no matter what their status. And I commented after Erin commented, I feel very, very safe in this town. Except when a few people attacked me at night with their camera phones in my face. And by the way, that's against the law. You broke the law, and you'll be hearing about it, Erin. And this person right here that has her hand raised, she attacked me.
Is this appropriate?
Yes, it is appropriate.
This is singling someone out. This
Can
is.
you address the council, please?
I'm reading
Speak to
the
council.
minutes of the meeting
There's no.
2 weeks ago. I'm reading it right now, so that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
also added.
We don't feel unsafe, and then she goes on, with all these gestures and contractual words, and very, very confusing. It's confusing enough for people in this room, never mind trying to explain it to the rest of the people in the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Erin.
Hi, Erin Barcelos, Precinct 5. I guess I'll just read my comments that he has for me. So my first public comment that I made 2 weeks ago. Start the way I normally do. I'm going to again invite all of the members of the council and all of the members of the community to join us at our Saturday stand-outs from 10 to 12 on Belle Isle Bridge. We stand out for many different reasons. It doesn't need to be something specific. There's people that stand out for overall due justice, due process, which is very important. That being said, what the town council, the town manager, the Winthrop Police Department, the Winthrop Fire Department, and the school committee, what are they doing to help ensure felt safety for all residents in town? I don't know if, sorry, it's confusing because the pronouns are changing because it's me talking, but it's recorded. I don't know if anyone talked to people, but there are a lot of people in this town that don't feel safe. And it's not about their documentation status, it's not about people that could have been born here, lived here their whole life. It's about the shades of their skin. It's not unsafeness because of the people in town. That's not at all what I've been saying. It's an overwhelming fear of just people can be stopped. Again, not by the police in town, not by having different services being mean to them in town. It's an overwhelming fear. So if we were just able to say that and make people feel welcome and have everybody be able to get together and be okay. Sorry, we're not talking. So that's basically what my comments generally are. But if y'all would like a copy, Jack has them. So if anyone has a question, again, in my second comment on here, I stated that, which I always state, if anyone would like to talk to me, I love having conversations. I just won't get into it on Facebook. I will have in-person conversations, no problem. So feel free to reach out to me. Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to begin by congratulating the town council in your willingness to serve our town. I know presently the council needs to decide if they are willing to pursue an exemption case. There are other options available, but we know they're not going to be successful. We know we're never going to repeal this state law because it's here. So that's a fruitless effort. We know negotiation is also going to be a fruitless effort because the state, with this law, has no incentive to negotiate in our town or any other of these towns. Andrea Campbell has stated that it's mandated, it's the law, and she's going to follow it. So our belief that we're going to negotiate, I think, is going down a false road. The state also has no incentive to negotiate because it will set a precedent with other towns in non-compliance. They don't want that precedent. And lastly, they're not going to be willing to negotiate because they feel that it would be discriminatory. If they now negotiate with us, what about all the other towns that were forced into compliance and didn't have that option? So the only viable option left, no repeal of the law, no negotiation, it's an exemption case. An exemption case, in my mind, is so favorable to the town that we should all be agreeing. We are unique. We're not any other town or city. Our characteristics regarding small landmass, over-densification, limited access in and out of town, and falling under the safe harbors law. These are reasons we should be pursuing an exemption. It does many advantages. It protects the citizens with personal and property rights against state encroachment. I'm hearing people talk about the law. You don't understand the meaning of law. It's not, will it happen? Oh, it probably won't happen. It can happen. The law is very clear that development can happen. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come. And don't be deceived to thinking it's only Seal Harbor or Fort Heath or Governor's Park or the Central Business District. It can be your neighborhood next because there'll be no control over the state expanding designated zones. You're in a false sense of belief, and that's not a reality. Other advantages, we maintain our local control. We determine where we want to build and give approval for that. We don't want to leave that to the state to come in and call all those decisions and lose our independence. We will eliminate, under an exemption, our non-compliant status. That's a big plus, because with non-compliant status being eliminated, we are qualified to go for state grants. And it will give us a very special status. It will spare us additional expenses for infrastructure, because then again, we determine what we want to spend on infrastructure and not force, because of overpopulation, to spend a lot of money. You're concerned about money? Wait until you have to do the infrastructure around town because of police, fire, roads, sewerage, and all the other considerations. Please, let's just give me a couple of more seconds.
15 seconds.
The town council, in pursuing an exemption, demonstrates that we stand together strong, that we go to the state, and that we seek this exemption. United, we're going to win. Divided, we'll surely fall, and it will be to our disadvantage. The stakes are high. We all know what the stakes are. I urge the council to continue to pursue an exemption. If you don't like the current exemption that's been filed, change it then. If you have a problem with the language or a few words here or there, the concept is good, and you owe it to the town to tell us, one, do you believe in a general exemption and pursue it? And two, if you don't like that case, then change it. But don't abandon the opportunity to have it.
Thank you. We're just one comment per person right now. Mark, Mr. Senator.
Mark Senate, Precinct 2. Much to the disagreement on the other side, the election was about 3A. It was overwhelmingly about 3A. Councilor Dimes, they dragged you through the mud and the muck and everything else. And in spite of that, with 842 votes being cast for you, you garnered 522. That's a beatdown of your opponent. You ran on an exemption. You ran on over 3A. I'm just asking you to stick to your word. Councilor Millar, you publicly stated as well, you were in favor of the exemption. I don't know why you changed your mind. It escapes me. Maybe Diane Sanders is right, somebody got it. But this is about 3A. This election was 100% about 3A. And you're all forgetting about a small bit of language in this law. As of right or by right. That's what the state's gonna do to us. We have no legal recourse because it's an as of right or by right law. We will have no legal recourse if we accept this. I urge, this should be a 7-1 vote tonight.
Right.
Hands down, because we know Max is not gonna vote for it, okay? It should be a 7-1. And yes, like Todd said, yes, we should hold Massport hostage over that land. That's our land. And you let them negotiate with them. I urge my counselor to please vote to accept this motion.
We're just doing one comment per person, please. I'm sorry. Yes, Dr.
May I?
Yes, you may.
I apologize for being seated. First of all, congratulations, and I know.
Just for the
you have-
record, Dottie.
I'm sorry, Dottie D'Onofrio, Precinct 4. I'm totally against Massachusetts MBTA 3A, and totally support my Winthrop's town government, and overwhelmingly public support in opposition of 3A here in our densely populated community. Only 10 states were chosen to participate. Why and who chose these states? No compliance, sees federal and state funding taken away, state grants, taxpayer monies, i.e. the Winthrop Tree Projects Fund in question are gone. Outside developers laying out areas for building new apartments. Originally, Winthrop was assessed making housing to accommodate 820 some odd people. That got changed down to accommodate over 600 plus individuals. Example, land up in the Highlands was squeezed between Seal Harbor 1 and 2 and Seal Harbor 3. Also to build on land down in Governor's Park on both of these parcels are already built up. Winthrop is already impacted in her schools, her precincts, her public service providers, police and fire. Traffic coming and going daily is a very prompt and very bold, heavy example of what the town is faced with. Traffic and coming, going in and out daily. Winthrop has Logan Airport issues with air quality and noise. MWRA with chemical trucks, workers, visitors coming and going daily. If one takes an aerial view of Winthrop, one can clearly see the density here in town. Our state government committed to this 3A project along with naming the Commonwealth as a sanctuary state. My suggestion would be there are many buildings in downtown Boston that are already built and have large vacancies at their disposal. Committees and communities such as Saugus, Cambridge, Somerville, and many more that are already connected with MBTA transportation sites could offer all this 3A that seeks to house and educate and provide for. This 3A is not doable here in Winthrop and should not be held up as you comply or you pay the price. Sincerely, thank you.
Rob DeMarco? Can you hear us? Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, ignore the Councilor DeMonico sign, because that's obviously outdated, but I did miss all you guys.
Just name and precinct, please, Rob.
Rob DeMonico, Precinct 6. So, first off, let's give Councilor Dines and Councilor Millar a chance to do their job. They haven't made a vote yet, so, like, it's all speculation. You don't know how they're gonna vote. They're both very capable people, and I support them both 100%. So I want you to give them an opportunity to do their jobs before you determine what they're gonna do, because you don't know. Councilor Swope, there is no reason for her to be attacked whatsoever, or her daughter, all right? All they are doing is standing up for what Winthrop voted for, was the anti-3A vote. That's what they're standing up for. It's not 50%, it's not 60%, it's 90% of what the town wanted. And that's why we had the election results that we had. And finally, when it comes to the state versus the town of Winthrop, we have to give in given to the state? Why? I want you all to ask yourself, why? Because when it comes to the state, okay, if we don't follow state law, well, the state doesn't follow federal law. So the state doesn't follow immigration laws and ICE laws, but we have to give in to the state. As far as I'm concerned, the state can go to hell.
Thank you.
Diana Viens?
Hi, Diana Viens, Precinct 2. Thank you for everyone being here tonight. I'm seeing some faces that have been here through and through, and I see some newcomers as well. Unfortunate about the comments. I think as newcomers, you should know that we do not treat each other this way. We don't know each other, but I don't like being called an egoist. I think that's pretty silly. But I also want to, since some folks are new, want to announce that we have a running volunteer list for volunteering your neighborhood or your home for a 3A zone. So please do contact me should that be of interest to you. Just to set the record straight, I do volunteer all of my time. And of course, Massachusetts and everyone who lives here has way too many degrees. If you want to compare degrees, I don't want to put you to sleep with mine. With respect to Milton, somebody raised Kevin Martin. Not sure if that person knows him, but I do. I think he did a brilliant job in the Milton case, which, by the way, was a win for the people of Massachusetts. All claims. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. At the end of the day, what we have going on here is a sort of a regurgitation of a referendum on 3A. It's unfortunate. We didn't anticipate this, especially given all the work that we did during the campaign. But here we are, right? So I hope that sort of some of the, I'll just say it, call it like it is, right? Like nasty comments tonight towards myself and my parents, which is wild. Again, all of my time is on a volunteer basis. Nobody knows that better than my children, who I basically don't see after my full-time job dealing with this stuff. I hope that the three counselors who have kind of, gone a different way have seen what, have heard what they've heard tonight and see this as a wake-up call. I will say also that with respect to these ideas about the original plan, that's not happening, right? We're not giving over our CBD. And furthermore, 3A, as a general rule, if anyone who knows what's on the books, only requires that Winthrop zone 12 acres. Well, the planning board zoned 43. Again, we're not giving over our CBD. And according to the lack of response from the head of the planning board, we can't possibly accommodate 882 units zoning in the 12 acres that the only square footage were required under 3A. Today we filed a stay of enforcement in the Suffolk Superior Court. If we're successful there, the AG cannot pursue her case against Winthrop. 3A and all of its punitive measures with respect to grants, which are basically across the board, 3A, MBTA communities or not, because the state's basically out of money, cannot be enforced against Winthrop. And if we're successful there, I would seriously hope that any counselor that has any question or at least interest in Winthrop exhausting its remedies before going full force on a solution that clearly wasn't meant for us would then reconsider joining the exemption, because at the end of the day, standing is the AG's biggest, real challenge against the exemption case. And just like East Boston, we have every right to be exempt from this law given our circumstances.
Thank you.
That's all. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Just before we go on, and we'll have another public comment period.
We do have one more.
Oh,
Popped up. Brian? Brian?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Brian Martinovich. I'm in precinct 6. Some of you may know me as the person that started Winthrop Voters. I'll appreciate your time and my allowance to join you by comment. I would just put it quite simply, right? If certain people that are present would feel so inclined to start a campaign for funding the impending lawsuit, that would be great as well. So let's see if we can get that set up. The bottom line is we the people do not want to throw our money away for something frivolous that will inevitably conclude in compliance being forced upon us. This is going to happen. It's not speculative. There was a case where Milton lost, and that set something called a precedent. We will follow them. I also don't think that the person who has been proposed as seemingly representing the town is not even really a currently practicing lawyer. There was a man in the audience prior that gave you the credentials of the law firm that was representing Milton, and the outcome was the same. I beg and implore you, do not waste our taxpayer dollars on this lawsuit. If you feel so inclined, pay for it out of your own pocket. Thank you.
Right, that's the end of public comment period. I will say we will be having a second public comment period. Please try to use decorum. Please address your comments to the council, and please address the council as councilors I know they deserve. You might not agree with them, all, any of them, whatever, but they deserve to be treated with respect, as do your local citizens. This is, it's like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and I don't mean that in Winthrop, I mean that from the top down. And what I see in this town just disappoints me at times, and I'm just, as a citizen, not as the council president, but just, we're so much better than the way we are sometimes. And I know we're so much better. We're always there for people when we need it, and just try to treat each other with respect. That's all I ask. I can take the criticism anytime, any day. I get enough of it, so it's not a big deal, but just with a little respect. Thank you. Let's see, correspondence, we had many correspondence. A lot did ask, somebody read in a correspondence earlier, probably a half a dozen or more people asked for comments to be read in. We cannot do that right now, but all those comments will be on the website, and I'll ask Denise anything else about correspondence.
Yeah, they're all gonna be in the record, and I'm gonna attach them to the minutes of tonight's meeting. So we have all that. I did receive 28 up to 5 p.m. and 13 were for, 15 against the exemption. And that's how we look at it now. But everybody's correspondence will be on the website.
All right. Committee reports, just a quick update on the Firehouse Building Committee. We met last evening, and obviously it's not a big report. Everybody can see the action just as we can say it, but the middle school building is down. They are taking roughly 10 truckloads, 10 18-wheelers a day out in debris. The debris is separated into rebar and concrete. All that debris is going to be recycled, which is good. Up here on the screen here, we have, and again, nothing is set in stone, but as of now, this is the rendering. How it differs mostly from the original rendering when the vote was basically it's just flipped, with the apparatus space being on the right side of the building instead of the left. Again, just to give you a quick update, this is the most recent rendering as to the finished project. You can see on the right-hand side, just for observation, that would be the current gymnasium. There will be a walk path through between the firehouse and the gymnasium, which will be access to Ingleside Park or from Ingleside Park and towards the center. The furthest left of the building, where it's at its peak height, the peak height there is 46 feet. However, it's sunken down from the sidewalk, so it wouldn't have the effect of 46 feet. It is also, from the closest point to the sidewalk, roughly 52 feet away, where the old middle school was roughly 15 feet away. So it's definitely set back further. So again, this is just a current rendering of where we're going. It will probably take over maybe the end of this week or into next week, you will start seeing the demolition of the auditorium. It will take an additional 3 to 4 weeks, or maybe 3 to 5 weeks to get all the debris out to have a clean site. So the goal is, right now, by the end of February, very early March, you will have a clean site. The fence will stay up throughout the whole process. And just an update, I know there was a question asked about the memorial for the Salucci family, and that plaque is in the custody of the town. That plaque, along with a bench donated by the town, along with a new tree, will be planted at Salucci Field with a permanent memorial there. My understanding is it has also been discussed with the family. This is not something we're just doing on our own. But again, this is going to be an ongoing process. We were informed last night we are still on budget. Everything seems good. Once the site is clear, the surprises, I guess, are pretty much gone. You know, the surprises going in is what's in the building, what's under the building, what's the foundation look like, and such. So, you know, that's good news. So I just want to keep you updated on that, and we will continue to do that as the process unfolds. Probably in early March, we will be having the third neighborhood meeting, but this meeting we would invite more inclusive for the whole town to come and start giving ideas, you know, about tweaks or whatever their thoughts are on this type of building, and start to get into more logistics on the actual process as how it will be developed and when it will start and such. So keep updated, and there is a site, a link on the town's website to the Firehouse Building Committee and everything that we've done so far, so thank you for that. School department report, last school committee meeting was canceled due to the snowstorm, so there will be a school committee meeting next Monday, the 12th, I believe it is. Update on policy committee, I definitely have an update here somewhere. All right, 50 Somerset Ave. This is from the Board of Appeals, requested to extend relief of a 1-year variance. That's being heard. 6369 Putnam Street has requested to extend relief for a 1-year variance. 210 Winthrop Street, the applicant seeks a permit to demo a pre-existing non-conforming structure and construct a 4-story mixed-use building. 44 Bowden Street, the applicant seeks a permit to remove the existing roof and construct a 3rd-floor addition to an existing single-family home. 158 Highland Ave, the applicant seeks a permit to convert the current pre-existing non-conforming 3-family structure to a 4-unit residential building. And nothing to report on from the planning board right now. Town manager's report. Town manager's report has been circulated. We'll take some questions in a minute. A couple things I just want to mention. First of all, somebody mentioned, and you can't help but see the 2 feet of snow we have, and I want to extend my sincere thanks to Steve Calla, and I know Steve wouldn't take the credit himself. His crew did an amazing job. We have had issues just getting rid of the snow. Once you plow it, then it's trying to get rid of the mounds, making it more visible, especially when children are in school, trying to clear the parking lots completely, trying to get curb to curb. It's where are we gonna put the snow? I know Marblehead got special state permission to dump it in the water, but it's very hard, to put the snow someplace. We ended up with 18-wheel trucks that would dump the snow into so we could get rid of the snow. But I just wanna publicly thank Steve and his crew for what I think is an amazing job. Also, a couple of town manager Marino did, and I don't know if this is in the report or not, but did recently, today, sent an email on a capital project update.
I did, that was asked for the public, yeah.
Yeah, so you can.
I sent it to the
just-
Citizens Finance Committee members
Okay.
too, so they can forward it around.
Okay, and, I had requested through the town manager several weeks back to try to reach out to the EOHLC. The acronym is very difficult for me to, the EOHLC to have a possible discussion. That discussion will involve our state representative, also our state senator, along with the secretary and a few members of his staff. We initially were not given a green light for the meeting, and then they've since welcomed the meeting. So we do have a meeting penciled in for next week. We will definitely be reporting back to the town on that meeting. We have many questions, as do you all. And I think I know somebody said through a comment here today that most people agree it might be a bad law, but people have different variations as to how to deal with the law. So we have our questions, and we are going to do, our intentions are and have always been in the best interest of what is best for Winthrop in the future and in the present. So we are going to do our very best in that conversation, and we will keep you updated on that.
What's the date?
The date is sometime next week. It is scheduled for Monday or Tuesday, but it will be before our next scheduled meeting, so we will have a complete recap then. I will open this up to the council if Tony, town manager wants to give a brief update.
Just on the public comment about the insurance rates, we are having our insurance subcommittee meeting. We did get initial rates with the MMA conference. They sort of talked a little bit about that. They believe last year was 15%, this year they anticipate between 7 and 10. We're a blended rate because we have a bunch of different plans that we offer, so depending upon what the cost of the plan is and how many people we have taking that plan, our rate will probably fall somewhere in between there. We'll know more once they give us the plan rates and we can do the math on our end and figure out exactly what our increase rate is. But it should be a lot less than last year, which is a good thing, and it's more in line.
It's still going to be significant, and just to give a numbers, put a numbers to that number, it's north of $500,000 to $600,000 of an increase to our current plan. So it's definitely going to be an increase. It's again hard to say. It's kind of like when we did the trash contract. It's hard to say it's good news when you're going up potentially 8.5%, but that's in the range that we're looking. I will open it up though for questions from Councilor Tessino.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Manager Marino. I just want to take another minute and thank Director Callahan and the DPW for all the work that they did. There were guys out there working like 48, 72, almost straight hours. I know that it looks like there wasn't a lot of snow that was moved around, but like they put in some serious hours. They did a lot of work, and we're in a much better place than we would be without them. We'd be buried. I'm sorry that the groundhog saw our shadow, and I'm not looking forward to 6 months.
6 weeks.
Just, I know we have some free cash stuff coming up. Just in terms of snow and ice budget, do we know where we're at and
we'll know
That
more.
storm basically will have cost us.
Yeah, pretty much
yeah,
budget is gone.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming the budget is gone.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about where we're gonna supplement the overage from in if free cash is where we're.
More than likely, more than likely it'll be free cash.
Thank you again, Director.
And before we go to the next comment, I will say on top of the snow, we did have 2 water main breaks in the middle of it. 4, I'm sorry, I doubled it. 4 water main breaks in the middle, which hampered the snow removal once the.
And we're still doing
cost
the
of
snow,
snow
yeah.
removal, but
Snow removal is still going on for the remainder of the week, and
Yes.
we still got the trucks in place.
the goal is to get curb to curb on as many places as we can. And just, again, to go over the parking ban is still in effect. If you do have a street that is curb to curb, my understanding is you are allowed to go.
Correct, and we've been listing the streets on the website, so check the website, we just updated it today. Director Calla gave me the new list of all the streets they got to, so we've been updating the street list as we go along to let everybody know where they can park back.
Back on comments, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Just so-
Vice President Swope.
I commend your work, and I just mentioned this before because I was in DC. And what happened to DC is they had ice, then they had 6 inches of snow, and then they had 6 inches of ice. So they're not able to plow any sidewalk because the plows break on the sidewalk. The only way they can do that is literally chisel the ice. So students were out of school all week long, no sidewalks. And so we didn't have exactly terrible like that, terrible marks like that, but it was still big enough. Thank you, sir.
The only thing I'll add, and just because I know we received a few emails, the council and stuff, and I've responded to a few of them, but, you know, the parking lots over by the schools, and we've done a lot to take the snow off of Kennedy Drive and move it around the schools, but unfortunately, the parking lots is where we dump the snow. And maybe people don't remember 2015 or didn't have kids at school at the time, but that's the spot where we stockpile the snow and a few other spots around town. So we have to use those lots, unfortunately, but Director Calla and his team went down Kennedy Drive today and opened it up more, so I'll just say have some patience when you're picking up your children and dropping them off. It's a little slower with the lot not available, but you know, we are getting there, so, thank you.
Council Costa.
Thank you, Town Council President, and this is no way a reflection of Director Calla in any way, but I received several calls that relates to the school children having to basically take pathways in the street. Down near Franklin, Payson, around the school, some of the homeowners failed to clear their snow. It's still obstructed right now as we speak. And again, these were concerned parents of school children. The cross intersection down near McGee's Corner, from the bus stop to the liquor store was also not paved there. I actually saw a young school child going around the island to get around that snowbank. So my concerns are such that as we move forward, and again, no reflection of the department, I know you're understaffed, I know you're basically you're going as far as you can with limited resources. But as far as the next snowstorm, maybe we can have a plan, a snow removal plan that addresses getting the school children back to school safely first, before maybe we hit some other areas of town, prioritize. That is a big concern of mine, and again, I think anyone who's putting school children or allowing them to walk or walking, again, some people weren't able to get their cars out of these snowbanks on Veterans and all the other parking lots, and meanwhile, their children are told they have to go to school. So there are some issues here, and don't get me wrong, it's 2 feet of snow, I understand that. And, you know, here we are a week later, and we're still in a state of emergency as far as snow. But I think maybe a prioritized removal plan might be best if, you know, we were to maybe address the issues. As far as sending the kids back to school, but sending them back safely. So that's all I wanted to comment there, but again, no discredit to Mr. Calla with his limited resources. He's doing a hell of a job, so thank you.
You forget the old days when we walked to school, walked home, and walked back again.
Uphill both ways.
I have a question when it comes to snow removal at the old middle school site. Is the contractors responsible for that, or is that something the town still has to manage?
Everything inside that fence is the responsibility of the contractor.
Okay.
Outside is the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is old business. MBTA 3A exemption status. This is continued from the last meeting. Vice President Schwartz.
I put forward a motion last meeting to join the exemption case. This is the only exemption case at present that I know is ongoing and in front of the courts. If we find, and I'm going to read it, if we find another path to exemption, I'm all for it. I mean, not wedded to this. If there's something better that the town can do or come up with, or they have a way to manage this, I still am for an exemption. So I'm reading this, and this is the only path that I saw the last time I was here. I'll read it again. It was turned down last time. We'll see where it goes.
Well, it wasn't just for clarification, it was not turned down.
I'm sorry, it
just
was
gone.
tabled. The town council moved to join the case seeking exemption from compliance with the MBTA Communities Act, General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 3A, on the grounds that the application of this law is neither fair nor equitable concerning Winthrop. The application of this law would have profound harmful effects on the current residents of this town. The docket number for the case is 2484 CVO 23518. The Winthrop says no to 3A committee along with 10 respective community leaders seeks relief from the court by way of an exemption from compliance with this law. As the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOHLC, has failed in their statutory duty to provide a mechanism for raising hardship and or challenges with respect to arbitrary/harmful results as applied pursuant to Chapter 30A, Section 4. Given, one, Winthrop's unique circumstances and lack of actual space to accommodate the ultra-high-density zoning sought by Section 3A. Two, Winthrop's decision for this council to twice reject the Winthrop Planning Board's compliance proposal. And three, the need to preserve and protect the people of Winthrop's expressed will to be heard by the judiciary in this matter. I move that the council vote to join the case for 3A exemption now in the Suffolk Superior Court.
Yes, so there's a motion presented by Vice President Swope. First, I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Councilor Millar. Before we get into discussion, I'm going to give the Vice President an opportunity to amend that motion because legally the town council cannot enter into a lawsuit. The town council has the authority, and that's in the charter, section 4.2.
Has the authority to.
Has the authority to instruct the town manager, and then I'll go over that process, how it would work. So I'm going to just ask for an amendment.
Thank you, that's a
Yeah.
friendly amendment, and I agree.
Okay, so there was, so I just want you, no, you don't have to read it. Vice President Swope is amending her motion to instruct that the town council instructs the town manager to join the case, and the rest of the motion would stay the same. So Vice President Swope has made that amendment. Is there a second to the amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Councilor Amano seconds the amendment. So as amended, we'll start discussion, and I'll just start from one end of the room down. That's easier. Councilor Costa.
Yeah, thank you, Town Council President. Is there anything else we could say about the 3A? It's been said over the course of 2 years. We've seen two sides of the room here again. I'm not going to go through all of everything we've said in the past 2 years, but I first want to commend Attorney Viennes for all her hard work, the amount of time and effort she put into this. We wouldn't be here today in 2026 without her professionalism and abilities. She's the only reason why we're as far as we are. So, anyone who wants to criticize that, I believe that Attorney Viennes has already given her time and service in excess of $200,000 to this case, if you want to chalk up ours. That being said, we have a lot of good people on the no and 3A side, and to vilify anyone on that side for sticking up for Winthrop, a unique town. How many times do I have to say that? The airport, M. DeBray, how many times do I have to say all of that as well? We know the issues here, there's safety issues. We just had a snowstorm. It's still tough getting around town. The beach was closed. We have the complaints here is 45 minutes to get out of town. How much more can this town take? An exemption case would put us out of our misery as it relates to this bad law. That's all this is, and it's exemption. It's equivalent to us not, or paper compliance if you want to call it that. This is a permanent paper compliance with all of the writing and all the legalities that would protect us. All of the other stuff has no protections, as Carol Selleck has mentioned many, many times. We need guarantees here. This is the only way to guarantee that this town is safe, and we are exempt from a bad law. I will say, the only way I will vote yes on this is if the state was to approve the 72% audit of the State House. Let's face it here.
We're gonna keep the comments to this.
All right, I yield, thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Castanari?
I agree with Councilor Koskinen. Everything's been, that there is to be said, has been said about this. The only thing that I think is guaranteed on this case is that it will lose, just like every other one has lost, so I'm not really inclined to have the town attorney or the town manager dedicate their time and our tax dollars to fighting this case. If there are other avenues that the town attorney comes up with, then we should explore those avenues at that time. I don't think this is the one.
Councilor Bilal, sorry.
I'd like to start off with that I have not changed my thoughts or views. I am against 3A and I am 400% exemption.
Thank you.
So, I've said this multiple times where people have questioned me. The thing that I wanted to do is make sure I got additional information on this. The town can't just jump on a lawsuit. There are more steps that go along with this. And I'm not sure people are clear that there is more to go along with this. Even when the council said if we were all to vote yes, there's still a whole nother process to come that isn't put out there for full understanding. I personally, not being a counselor, would sign on to this. That's me personally. When you're starting to involve the town, there's more discussion that needs to be had with it. It's not a clear cut, yes, just go do it. So I think that's where we need to also request additional information to have what the additional steps are, timelines, what it will take, you know. We can still make a motion for the town for itself to be exempt and not go on to another case. And during my looking into not just the motion, but also the case and other cases and what's gone on, it's pretty interesting to find that a lot of municipalities that join on committee type lawsuits, a lot of courts dismiss them. If you look at the history of it, I spent hours and hours because I'm trying to hear everybody on this, and my vote is not based on someone flipping me. My vote is based on getting additional information. I've spoken twice on the phone with Attorney Jens. I don't know if people on the no side knew that, but I have 2 long phone calls. I reached out to friends to try and get more information for a better understanding of, you know, like what Rule 9A is. Then we also have the 24 and trying to understand how that all works into play with this. So the hard part where people probably didn't understand me is that, which I put out during my, you know, campaign, was literally I dig into things. I want more information so I can have a well-rounded way to answer both sides. I have not changed my view. So, saying that, I've done my research, I've got more information, I know where I stand, and if anybody really thinks that I flipped, I will have a one-on-one conversation with you. I'm happy to. I have not changed my view.
What is your view?
Excuse me. Councilor Romano.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bore you guys with the reasons why I'm against 3A. I think we all in this room know the reasons why 3A is a bad law. I will say when it comes to exemption, I still believe that that's the best way forward. I haven't yet seen any other alternatives. My understanding is these attorneys have been working pro bono, so I don't understand all this talk about it's gonna cost the town additional funds. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Vice President Swope.
You said it well. The It's been going on for so long, you all. You know, it's funny when we find ourselves in a bad situation up top, meaning this law, we end up squabbling among ourselves down below in this. And we create such discord. And in the end, regardless of how we decide on this tonight or how we decide on what else we can do in the town, I'm hoping we can find exemption. We need to be exempt from this law. And I will fight till the end, and indeed, if we go down fighting. And guess what? It's the state is doing, won't be doing the same thing unless we can convince them. I think that may not be the case. But I do think this is a political argument. I do think we face a lot of problems in housing across the country. I think you're gonna see an article that my husband and Jeff Turco and I wrote in the Globe. It's coming out probably tomorrow or the next day, about an alternative to this decision of punitive behavior and cutting us off and making a stick a big time problem. Another way we could look at how we could build housing in a more equitable as well as a more positive way in this state and still accomplish the same thing. So I'm gonna vote for this motion, but I am open to other suggestions as to how we can get around this and not fight our way as a town, because, as I say in my thing, curious, not curious.
Councilor Dodge.
On January 20th, 2026, President Altieri, I stated I needed more information and had questions and couldn't vote confidently on this motion to join the exemption case. I just want to make clear that my position on the MBTA Communities Act, MGL, Chapter 48, Section 3A has not changed. I believe this law to be a massive overreach by the state, and its one-size-fits-all nature does not fit Winthrop's many challenges. I absolutely support an exemption for Winthrop, and I believe that we should continue pursuing one. While obtaining the information that I needed, I consulted with Attorney Simpaletta and the town charter. President Lettieri has already disclosed the town council does not have the jurisdiction or authority to enter into litigation without voting for the town manager to do it for us. That's his domain. That motion has been altered or amended for that, so I'll eliminate that from what I have to say. But I do want to say that I 100% support an exemption, but I do believe moving forward the town needs the town attorney, Simpaletta, to draw us up one, and we need to move forward with that. The current exemption case is from 2024. There are parts of it that have already been ruled constitutional, that the law is constitutional, and it is not an unfunded mandate. That has already been ruled on, and that is still in this exemption case. It's obsolete language. I think that we need to start new, we need to start all together, we need to move forward with our general counsel that is employed by the town of Winthrop and represents us and has the authority to do so. I'm making my decision on this motion tonight with the utmost integrity. My vote on this motion reflects my responsibility as a counselor to make decisions based on facts, law, and community welfare. Thank you.
Councilor Ray.
My position on 3A has been pretty clear, and I think it's incumbent upon us to pursue every avenue we can to fight this with the state. I think this is one avenue that we should pursue. It doesn't limit us in any way. It doesn't mean we're going to just put all our chips in on that one bet. But I feel it's incumbent that we do pursue that tonight.
All right, before we go to a roll call vote, I will say that, again, not to repeat what's already been said, but in January 2025, I was the first person in this town to say I'm against 3A, and I'm against 3A, and it was said again in a comment tonight, I'm against 3A on the control issue. And somebody said, that, you know, we're building units. The CBD is building units. A responsible development that's done with our guidance and our guidelines is what we'd like. So my concern on 3A has always been the control. However, it is the law. I understand it's the law. You know, whatever happens down the road, and however this comes to fruition, because one way or another, it's going to come to fruition, right? It's not gonna go on forever, even though it seems like it has. It will end. I would much rather my case to be in a federal court rather than a state court, because I think the laws are stacked against us, and the courts are a little stacked against us in the Commonwealth. I do believe the prudence of entering a 2024 case at this time is probably a little ill-advised, where we have a meeting with the EOHLC, along with Representative Turco and others. Don't know if the town should be looking to fight in this venue. I do think the town needs to continue to fight. I've made those comments clear to the town manager and town attorney, and they're well willing to do that, but in a prudent way, just the way we take our responsibility, and we take the responsibilities very seriously for the 19,000 plus people that live here. You know, it's been talked about the cost of the lawsuit. It did cost Milton over $275,000. We are incredibly fortunate to have counsel on staff on a salary and not on overtime. So I thank him for that. But you know, you do have to be cognizant of money for the town. I do not think, and it was stated earlier that, you know, basically said like we're falling off a financial cliff. I do not see that. Maybe I see it through different glasses than others, but we have been very well managed, and I think we're in a much better shape than many other states and towns. I don't think the Commonwealth as a whole can state that, and I think there's been a lot of very, very bad decisions that does have an effect. I look at the grant money, and that's obviously an issue, right? And I look at it not only in terms of the town, but in terms of after-school programs that are being affected significantly, and need to look at avenues. This is not going to come down, I don't believe, to you lose, you're done, you win, you win. It's a compromise, as everything usually in life is. And I want to be able to fight another day in this. I am continuing to do everything I can to prevent 3A from coming to Winthrop. However, I want to do it in a prudent way. I do not think this specific suit is the right way to go right now. Having said that, I will ask for a roll call vote. So just for clarification, a yes vote would have the town council instruct the town manager to become part of this exemption case. A no vote would not do that. At this time, it would not relinquish any other thing we have. And this would require 5 votes to pass, just a simple majority.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Tassinari.
No.
Council Malab.
At this time, no.
Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
No.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Vice President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
No. Motion to pass. Precinct 6 update. We have had another candidate. Right now we have 3 candidates, Mr. Michael Gillespie, Mr. Martin Finn, and Mr. Danielle Floyd. We will take applications or letters of interest until the next meeting. So if you have an interest, please respond to the council prior to the February 19th 20th? February 20th meeting. 20th?
Oh, I'm on here.
Yeah, 17.
Back to the February 17th meeting. New business. All right, new business. I move the town council appropriate retained earnings in the ferry enterprise fund in the amount of $20,000 to cover costs that the fund has or will incur in fiscal '26. Currently, these expenses include insurance. The finance office will apply the funds to various accounts where exemptions are occurred or take any other actions thereto. I will refer this to finance. There is a subsequent motion that the town council appropriate the retained earnings in the rink enterprise fund of $20,000 for extraordinary repairs and maintenance of the mechanical equipment at the ice rink or take any other action thereto. That will be referred. Town council to vote on appropriated free cash. This is a little longer one. I move that town council vote to appropriate certified free cash as listed below or take any other action relative thereto. Free cash and retained earnings certification file is attached. Basically, just I'll give a brief summary. This is going to be referred to finance. It will be discussed in much more detail, and you'll see more at the next council meeting. Free cash certified as of July 1st, 2025 of $2.783,529,000. There is a set aside in our financial policy of $278,000 plus, available to allocate a little over $2.5 million. The way we have our current financial plans and strategy, percentage-wise, that will be broken down. So general stabilization, we would add $751,000, bringing the ending balance a little over, slightly over $6 million. Capital stabilization would be allocated an additional 1.1, bringing the ending balance of about 2.9 million. Building stabilization at 235, we would allocate 64, that is capped at 300,000. And education stabilization fund is at 1.504, allocation of 75,000 plus would bring that fund balance up to a little over 1.5 million. And the ending free cash balance would be $779,000, which is not all of that money, but you know, that's where you're looking at some of your snow removal expense and such. There are certain items in a budget that can be overspent, snow removal being one of them. Everybody understands that it's, you know, extremely hard to predict. Most cities and towns provide a very low threshold because they know they can go over. We've tried to raise it every year. Once you raise it, you're not allowed to lower it again. So we are still at a lower clip, but we were not too long ago at 30 or 40,000, and now we're well over 100,000. So that's where some of that money goes. That will be referred to finance. Speaking of referred to finance and such, since we just referred 3 motions to a committee that doesn't exist as of yet, so it is still, we have some appointments to make. Now, so we have 7 standing committees as of now. I had talked about it, and I have a motion here to try to bring that to 4. Right now, the 2 committees that will stay as is, hope is finance and rules and ordinance. I will have appointments going out this evening. They might not be complete appointments because we're still missing a counselor and such, but we need to have at least 2 on finance so we can look at these motions. So those appointments will be coming out via email later, but there are 2 motions here, and they can be taken as you wish. And the first motion is that the town council approve the consolidation of the following town council standing committees: Public Health and Safety, Public Works, and Public Health and Safety, Public Works would be a consolidated committee. Capital Assets and Economic Development and Appointments, Commissions, and Committees would be a consolidated committee. So there was a motion to consolidate those 5 committees into 2. So there's a motion by Councilor Dimes. Is there a second? There's a second by Councilor Tassinari. My reasoning for this is that last year, a couple of reasons, we had 7 committees, the abundance of committee meetings, finance and rules and ordinance. We also had approaching 30 subcommittee meetings last year, and I believe we had minutes from 2. That's gonna stop. So I've also, it's not difficult, I mean, it's hard to do the work and to set a committee and set a meeting, but to take minutes, I have just made a simple form, which I'll pass around, and I encourage whoever the chair of these committees are, you just have to write down basic information so people understand that these can be posted within a day or 2 of a meeting. That's another reason why I'm trying to consolidate the 4 committees, so, it makes the process a little bit easier, and it wouldn't dilute the time of the councilors. So the way this will probably end up, if this was to happen, you'd have 4 committees, 3 members to each committee, 12 members, 8 councilors at some point. So 4 councilors would be on 2 committees, 4 councilors would be on 1, so it's not taking up an abundance of time. I would hope to see subcommittees meet on a time other than 15 or half an hour before a committee, before a council meeting, so they get the time they deserve to be vetted out. Any discussions, free cash, for example, takes more than 20 minutes to really discuss it. So that motion has been made, seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, the ayes have it. So now there are 4 committees. The appointments for finance and rules will be out later this evening, and those are just appointments, those do not require a vote. Appointments, there are, I think, 1 or 2 appointments we have here. I do have two appointments. Town council, accept the appointment made by Town Council President Lettieri to appoint Cheryl Howard to the Firehouse Reuse Committee with a term in force until such time as required. This is a committee, I believe it has 2 people right now. Trying to make 2 appointments tonight and maybe a 3rd at the next meeting, but still looking for 2 other people. So there's a motion for Cheryl Howard. Is there a second? There's a second by Vice President Swope. Any discussion on that motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to use my counselor privilege. I don't feel confident enough to make any committee appointments today. I haven't, I don't feel comfortable taking a vote on anybody unless I have the names and the positions in advance, which I have not yet been provided, so.
It's fine, you have that privilege. You chose not to use it at the last meeting.
Yes, and I plan to from now on, just to let you know.
So you're gonna use your council privilege on every appointment that's made?
Yes, unless it's on the agenda in advance.
Appointments are always on the agenda, and they're at the discretion of the council president.
I'm
but you
aware.
can choose it. That is put off until the next meeting.
I would like to hear the other names first.
You'll hear it at the next meeting. You can't discuss it.
I only use my council privilege for that motion.
That's the only appointment I'm making tonight.
Sounds great.
Public comment. This public comment period will be limited to 10 minutes. And I ask you just to state your name, state your precinct, and take the council respect. John, Mr. Morgan.
Hi, John Morgan, Precinct 4. I'm going to take an entirely different direction from what's happened tonight. I would like to give my experience this past week after the storm. First of all, thank you to the DPW and everything that they do. It's been hard to navigate as a citizen, and not just because of my white cane. I would also like to personally thank all the Paul Revere bus drivers. There hasn't been anywhere to stand except in the street. These bus drivers, when I'm on the bus, I have experienced these things myself, and I can only speak for myself. They've gone out of their way to make sure that their passengers are safe entering and exiting the bus. I've also had a number of conversations, or tried to have conversations with the MBTA regarding snow shoveling of the bus stops. The MBTA says it's Paul Revere's responsibility. Paul Revere says it's the MBTA's responsibility. So these imaginary fingers are pointing to each other, and if it wasn't for the DPW taking it upon themselves, we wouldn't have any clear bus stops. And I thank the DPW again. And again, going back to the imaginary finger pointing, I have my own finger, and it's not imaginary. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane.
Diane Sands, Precinct 5. Couple of things, Kurt and Kim, I'm very disappointed in you. I supported you in all your elections. I supported you. I also donated to you. I will never do it again. That being said, I don't know what the downside is to 3A. To say no to it incurs nothing. To go for an exemption, there's no penalty. What is the downside to it? I don't understand why you voted against it. I want to say to Kim, let's see.
Again, just.
All right, I just want to say in general, I'm trying to think. Kim just said about January 20th, she said something. She was elected November 5th, 25. But the exemption came out 9/3/24, a year and a half ago. Nobody has enough information. Nobody's made a call anywhere. I haven't gotten any calls. Diana Viennes hasn't gotten any calls. None of the attorneys have gotten any calls. What is the problem? You just vote against it and you don't have enough information. But that makes no sense. Get the information. That's your job. I don't know why you didn't get it. All right? This has been out a year and a half, almost 2 years. That's all I have to say. It's shameful, as far as I'm concerned. There's no downside.
Carol Pacello, Precinct 4. I've heard the councilors say that they don't have sufficient information, they don't understand the exemptions. Maybe the best role our town council, or legal counsel can play is to educate the council about the distinction between an exemption case and a lawsuit by the Attorney General's office by the state. Those are different procedures. The proof has to be different. I understand how the Attorney General wants to make an example of the 12 or 9 communities that they're suing because it will set precedent. Exemption is completely unique and different. I'd even want him to be able to describe to us as citizens as well regarding, would the state be against a unique exemption? Would they fight us? Because these are very different kinds of cases. They're not just both lawsuits where we're going to spend a lot of money on them. I agree, no one wants to spend money on the Attorney General's lawsuit against us, and we're going to be lumped in with all those other communities. But our case of exemption is unique. We should educate ourselves on what that means, and we should understand how the state's going to respond to that exemption, because people are saying we're not going to win. You might be very much surprised to think that we have legitimacy, we've got a good case, and we could win it, but we've got to do it together with support.
Thank you. Celeste.
Celeste Rior, Hewitt, Precinct 1. I gotta say, tonight's vote went differently than I thought. What I did hear Council Millar and Councilor Dimes and President Lettieri say is that the major reason why they didn't support going all in on this exemption, not that they're opposed to exemption, I heard wholeheartedly they're for exemption, is that the language is outdated. It has already been called out as not unconstitutional. And so we'd be barking up the wrong tree. So I 100% appreciate the pause and the thought that you put in at this juncture. I also think that it's additionally prudent to rely on our town council to represent us and to make sure that holistically the town is being represented in accordance with the whole outlook of the town, not just one extreme side or another. I encourage you as we go forward to continue to look at things through the same objective lens and look for optimum outcomes. Another continuing term that I've heard throughout members of the community and members of the council is it's about control. One of the biggest concerns that folks across the board should have, if this does not have the optimum outcome, one side or the other, we could be signaling to the state that the town of Winthrop is incapable of controlling our own outcomes, whether it's 3A or the myriad of other issues, the infrastructure concerns we are unable to or unwilling to fund, and issues that we're unable to or unwilling to pursue, and we may end up in receivership. We may end up with a special master. Well, it's a true potential.
Yeah.
So that's a real concern of mine, and I would hate to see the state in control completely of all of our fates. Thank you.
Marcy?
Hi, Marcy Hamilton, Precinct 2. Did you say me or?
Yes, I did. I
Oh,
said-
no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your diligent, thoughtful work, because it is a hard issue. We totally understand that 3A is a cookie cutter law, it is a constitutional law. We all think our town is special. We all think that way. But it is a law, and you all took an oath to uphold the constitutional laws of the state of Massachusetts when you took your oath of office. That being said, I appreciate your thoughtful actions tonight. Number two, I would like to say, if you didn't get a chance to, I would like to give a shout out to Anita Prezel. I wasn't here at the last meeting. The international night was amazing. I don't know if any of you got to go there, but our communities, our school communities are so diverse and so wonderful, and it was a joy to see all of those families coming together. That is where we get our demographic. Winthrop, keeping Winthrop, it's always evolving, and that's the special part of this. We have built new homes, we have built new apartments, we have welcomed people into our community, and we're not a cookie cutter community anymore. We are diverse, and we're wonderful, and we have to show respect to everybody and their points of view. And this is where we do it. I wish you well next week on your meeting with the EOHLC, and I wish you have a presentation here so that everybody can be informed as to what your information was. And I trust our town manager, and I trust our town attorney to move forward in a thoughtful, respectful way that shows our love of this community. Thank you.
Kathleen Capuccio, 49 Baltimore Ave. The thought that our town is on the brink of receivership is so ludicrous and just speaks volumes as to just utter nonsense. We're not on the brink of receivership. I mean, come on. I 100% respect our town councilors' votes on joining the exemption case. You are town councilors. You have the duty to review what's in front of you and to make a decision. I may not agree with you, but I frankly respect it. I respect your reasoning. But let me go to the reasoning. That's where I'm taking issue tonight. There was absolutely no really valid reasons in factual statements to not join the exemption. You may have them, and again, I completely respect that, but what you need to do is actually state what those are. Do not state, I don't have the information, the town's gonna do it, the procedure wasn't followed. Be specific. That's what I take issue with. I completely do not fault anyone for voting the way you did. That's your right. We elected you to do that. Respect that. I don't respect hiding behind words and not actually stating what your issues are. Many of us have had conversations with you. Many of us have had conversations with others who have had conversations with you. There's a lot of backdoor things happening. Let's be clear on that. It's happening. Just be honest. Say, I'm not for it. I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about that. But let's just be honest. We see you. Winthrop's not stupid. We see what's happening. And again, just be honest. That's what I implore all of you. Just be honest about it. Or if you're not gonna be honest, just vote no or yes and be quiet. But the other nonsense, we see it. So please, do not treat us like we don't know what's going on. My main thing is to Steve Calla and the DPW, you guys are just, you rock. What you've done for the community, and the people who are constantly complaining that, you know, the streets aren't plowed appropriately and whatnot, I implore you, like I have, and I know others have, come before the town council and ask for more funding. Our DPW workers can only do what they can do with the funding they have. So please, you know, complaining on Facebook is just not gonna work. Come before the council and say, these guys and women need help. But again, let's all just be honest here as to what's happening, because enough of you have had conversations, and enough of the community has had conversations. We know what's happening. Thank you.
One more comment.
I'll comment.
We'll go 3 more comments, okay? So, Mr. Dow first, and then,
Jack Dowd, Precinct 6. My parents owned a house at 263 Winthrop Street for a combined 110 years. Very smart people, and they knew what was going on. They never stepped foot in this building for the exact reason of what happened here tonight. My mother said, why suffer with fools? So that's the reason why they never came over here. I have a different viewpoint with all this rhetoric that's happening in this room, that the dissenters and the people that like it are people really aren't telling the truth about how they vote in this instance. I see power, I see greed, and I see money. Those 3 elements, that's what I see happening. It has nothing to do with yes or no on this vote, the exemption case. It has nothing to do with it. It's power, greed, and money. That's the issue here. Everybody knows it. Kathleen wouldn't express it the way I'm expressing it now, but that's what I got that message from her, what she said. So everybody knows what's going on here. You can double talk all you want. You can cross your vote from a yes to a no. Everybody knows what's going on. Power, greed, and money. Thank you.
Goes back to precinct 2. Yes, I'm extremely upset about how the vote went tonight. There was no reason not to vote for the exemption. We're not breaking the law. It's to try to get out of what is there. Tonight, Jim, you talked about all these Board of Appeals hearings, more housing and development in this town. How much can we stand for development? Everybody wants to go 3 and 4 stories, add more housing, and you won't vote for an exemption. It can't hurt the town to vote for the exemption, and I'm sorry that you did not do that. The town spoke and they wanted the exemption. Thank you.
one more, and then I'll...
Yeah, Carl Eckstein again, Precinct 4. First time I'm disappointed about the vote, and I think Kurt and Kim, you have betrayed the voters.
Please address the councilors.
What? Oh, Councilor Millar and Councilor Dimes. I think you disappointed not just me, but people who voted for you. And it's a betrayal of sorts. And Jim, I understand where you're going. You're going into a meeting with the state, and my guess is that this is a negotiation to come to an agreement for Winthrop, which I'm a little concerned about, because 3A is not just a couple districts. It's a giving up of our rights to control our town, which you have expressed eloquently in the past. So we're in total agreement on that. And I think you cast away an arrow in your quiver in going into these negotiations. because the more you have the town behind you and the more ammunition you have, the better you are. And I'm concerned about what will come out of that, because I think it leads to actually surrendering to 3A. So I wish you well in your discussion, but I'm also concerned about giving up our control over our town. Thank you.
Thank you. And last comment.
Well, I have a different topic, of course. Tom Darian, Precinct 3 and your beloved tree warden.
Yes.
I have recently attended the Massachusetts Tree Wardens and Foresters Annual Convention. It was a room with 500 people in it, all of them wearing boots and jeans and plaid shirts. And it was amazing that the plaids were all different. No two were identical. But the bad news is that Massachusetts and Winthrop is infected with the emerald ash borer. The emerald ash borer is this tiny, very pretty, evil insect that is killing all the ash trees, and all the ash trees in Winthrop, if they're not dead now, will be within months. That's hundreds of trees that we're going to have to replace. Yeah, we know that money doesn't grow on trees. A good thing is a citizens group has started a GoFundMe page and is up to 1,800, right? 1,800. And that will help somewhat. It doesn't make up for other losses. I have my hat in my hand, so we can use funds. Checks can be sent to the DPW. Steve Carroll will take good care of them. Tony would write you a note so you can get a tax deduction. Money grows trees. Spread the word.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Just one more thing I was going to say at Tony's, at the town manager's town report. It was discussed earlier this evening on the gates, the floodgates in Revere. Me and Tony had a heated discussion on Sunday. We were both pretty upset about the fact that we're not told about it. We weren't asked about it the night before when they decided what they were going to do.
It wasn't necessary.
And on top of the whole thing, we agreed it wasn't necessary to begin with. So we will definitely be having some input now. We have discussions set. We need to be asked about this. We have 2 ways in and out of our town. They could at least give us the courtesy of letting us know what their plans are. I have an idea as to why it was closed, but we will be looking into that. We did not know about it. Tony did finally talk to someone at the DCR. They did inform him that it would probably be an hour and a half after high tide, which it ended up being, which again, it was but we heard your comments, but we did discuss this prior also. I'll ask for, we do have some openings, again, one more meeting, if you have an interest in Precinct 6, for a letter of interest. There is still an opening on the Board of License and Board of Appeals. And I'm sure after these meetings, everybody's just dying to volunteer their time. Motion to adjourn by Vice President Swope, second by Councilor Dimes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Nice to see you.